that'll help the garden as we talk this morning with the Old Farmer's Almanac's Joe Bills joining us on the line this morning. There's a brand new, really, really cool tool that you can use thanks to the Old Farmer's Almanac. Our conversation with Joe is presented by Marcus and Mack, voted the best law firm and best personal injury lawyer 3 years in a row in the Best of Indiana County contest. Visit them online at marcusandmack.com. Joe, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Todd. Thanks for having me.
I'm happy that you're here with us today because you really can. You can help us out with the Old Farmer's Almanac, the Garden Toolbox. This is an online toolbox, isn't it?
It is, and it's a relatively new thing for us. We're always, as you know, the Old Farmer's Almanac's been the first almanac that is now known as the Old Farmer's Almanac, rolled off the presses in 1792. For perspective, George Washington was still president. We've been doing this for a while. We've learned a lot over the years, and we're always looking for new ways to share sort of the accumulated information that we've gathered over the years, get those tips and tricks and helpful hints and all that kind of stuff out to people. And the last couple of years have presented a new problem because AI has arrived on the scene, and the things that we put on our website are suddenly available everywhere by virtue of AI. So we started looking for ways that we could put some tools on our website that would be sort of proprietary tools, be a reason for people to still come to our website and not just rely on AI to deliver the information stolen from our website. And it turned out to be this terrific win-win where we have these tools that I think are really helpful for the readers or the listeners, and also something that makes it add some value to a trip to our website, which is, in case I forget to say it, almanac.com.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great idea. One of the things that is most exciting to me about it is, and anytime you do Old Farmer's Almanac material, is you take into account the zone in which each reader is. So, the zone specific here to Western Pennsylvania is going to be different from the zone to Southern Pennsylvania, Northern Pennsylvania. But the zones are really important when you're determining practically everything about your garden.
Absolutely. So we tend to break things down. Most of these tools start by asking you your zip code. So they're kind of walking into the area that we're talking about and what we're talking about. And so it's almanac.com/tools. You'll find we call it the Gardener's Toolbox. There's a whole collection of them. And with that information, sometimes there'll be additional information you need to apply. But starting out, I think the first tool that anyone should look at in that toolbox is the frost calculator, because that's what defines your season. Mm-hmm. And we don't have a genie's magic ball to be able to tell you exactly when it's going to have a frost, when the first or last frost will be, but we can tell you on average when it happens, and that's a pretty good indicator usually. So we look at, all the last 30 plus years of data and tell you with pretty good authority when your first and last frost are going to be. That kind of defines your growing season right from the start. And then once you've had that fun, we have planting calendars, a monthly gardener's to-do list, and a whole series of tools that'll sort of lead you through every step of the gardening process, whether that's how much soil you need, how much mulch you need, almost all of it. And we're still refining it. Mm-hmm. Most of the tools we have right now are tuned specifically to vegetable planting, but there's more to come because these have been very popular.
Yeah, one of the great things about it, looking at the toolbox, and people might believe that you plant your garden in May and early June around here, and then you just wait for the results, and that's the end of gardening season. But the fall gardening season, it can be a really important one, and we should pay attention to it. And you actually have, with this brand new toolbox, a fall planting calendar and guide.
Yes, and that is definitely something that I think is largely overlooked. I mean, old-time farmers, of course, have always known this, and there's a lot of crops that you can plant multiple times a season. And even if you haven't planted anything yet this season, there's still a very considerable round of crops that can still be planted, in this after midsummer going into fall period that'll still get you some pretty bountiful crops. So again, starting with your zip code, we'll zoom in and tell you pretty specifically when your start and end dates are for setting seeds or transplanting those seeds to the garden, both in the spring and into the fall.
Yeah, yesterday I canned beans when I went home from the station, put up some lovely green beans, but those plants will come out after the next picking, and there's still time for me to get beans in and have a whole nother harvest of them.
Absolutely, it is, and we've seen a trend overall where the warm weather is continuing a little further into the fall than it used to years ago. And that really, I think, has gone the final step towards opening up this whole second season that we really, in most of the eastern U.S., can really take advantage of. There's still a lot of great growing season ahead of us.
Yeah.
And even if you are, if you're not a big-time gardener and you're looking to grow plants in containers, we've got tools specifically tooled for telling you how big a container you need for what you're looking to grow, the right mix and how much soil should be in that container, all that sort of thing. So whether you've got acres of fields or a little pot, there's tools on our website that'll help you get the most out of it.
Yeah, and the Garden Toolbox actually tells you about the differences between planting out in the yard garden or in a field garden and planting in a planter, because there are special things that you need to do if you're using a planter. The watering schedule changes and other things too.
Absolutely. And it also, you have a little bit more freedom. You can, if you're planting in a container, of course, you can presumably move that container to maximize maximize the sun or minimize the sun, whatever the plant wants. So there's a lot of variation there. The other thing that I really love, that I think is perhaps where the most value in the whole toolbox so far is the companion tool lookup. Companion plant lookup tool. Mm-hmm. Getting ahead of myself here. And that is valuable whether you're planting in a container or you're planting in your garden. If you've got a vegetable that you're planting, there are a series of other plants that may give a boost to that plant in various ways. And we kind of break all that down depending on what you're planting and the season that you're planting it in, and give some suggestions for other plants that you might put with your tomato, say, that will either increase your yield or maybe help shade the plant a little bit more if that's what it wants, or provide support for it. Really fascinating stuff, particularly when you get into the companion plants that drive away would-be pests that may have fed on your plant. And things like that. There's a real science to it, and it's really fascinating.
Yeah, it really is. When you look at it, the companion planting chart is it's a fascinating look into. It's really scientifically based. You've got the results that you know that this plant next to that plant is going to work better for both plants. So when you get right down to it, and the Garden Toolbox will tell you all about that.
Yeah, it's something that I think a lot of people overlook, and I think it's a really easy way to get considerably better results from your vegetable plantings without really changing much of what you're doing. It's just that little bit of extra thought at the beginning. Giving your plant a friend to hang out with can go a long way.
Absolutely. Joe Bill's our guest from the Old Farmer's Almanac. The Garden Toolbox is available now. Joe, again, tell folks how they can take advantage of it.
So super easy. The website is almanac.com, and if you want to go specifically to the tools, it's almanac.com/tools.
There you go. Just that simple. And the 2026 edition of the Old Farmer's Almanac, it's not so far from coming out, right?
It is out of our hands and rolling off the presses.
Wow.
So end of August, beginning of September, it'll be appearing on shelves near you with your full year weather forecast and all that fun stuff you look to the Almanac for.
That is pretty amazing. All right, and we do. We look forward to the Old Farmer's Almanac. Meanwhile, there's always the Old Farmer's Almanac online, and now the Garden Toolbox as well. Joe Bills, thanks so much for visiting with us this morning. I appreciate it.
Always my pleasure. And when that weather forecast rolls out, let's continue the conversation.
Good plan. Good plan. We'll do it. There's Joe Bills with us this morning. It is Indiana in the Morning on WCCS 101.1 FM, AM 1160, and WCCSradio.com.